Well, how long have you worked here?
Well, I've been here for years, about 23 years or more, and it's a kind of dump that nobody else would want, but I can work here. These are my few abstract pictures here, and because I use the walls and things just to test the colours out on.
Yeah. And you like leaving all this stuff there?
Well, I do. I just leave it there. I've even tried to clean it up, but I work much better in chaos. I couldn't work if it was a beautifully tidy studio. That would be absolutely impossible for me.
Why do you think that is?
I have no idea. Chaos, for me, breeds images. I generally try and work regularly because when people talk about inspiration, I think what is called inspiration only comes really from regular work.
You didn't go to art school, did you?
No, thank God. I would have been taught all those techniques which I don't want to know. I mean, I want to find my own technique, because if you're trying to do something that's rather different and new, you can't use the old techniques which have already been used. You make your own technique.
So how did you learn? I mean, how did you learn to make your own technique? By doing it?
Trial and error. By just trying to do it. That's all.
When you come to a canvas, have you an idea in your head as to what the finished image is going to be before you start?
I have an overall image of what I want to do, but it's in the working that it develops. And you see, it's a very difficult problem, this now, as I'm a figurative painter, and I think that that you can't any longer make illustration, because it's done so much better by the camera and by the cinema. So you have to really concentrate on making, you have to, I thought about it very clearly this morning, wrote it down, and I put it in my pocket. Now I can't remember what I was going to say. Can I use it?
Yes, do.
What I thought of saying. And I just said, not illustration of reality, but to create images which are concentration of reality and a shorthand of sensation.
Do you do drawings beforehand?
No.
You go straight onto the canvas?
Yes.
With the paint?
Yes.
What's the advantage of that?
Well, because I find if I drew it, and then I should just be making an illustration of the drawing. So it's so much better to immediately attack the canvas with the paint.
What you like to do, I believe, is to somehow let your unconscious take over. Is that right?
Well, that's as far as one can. I would like it to, because after all, there's this deep sea, which we call the unconscious, which we know nothing about. I always hope the most wonderful images will emerge from it.
At the same time, though, you believe in things being deeply ordered, don't you?
Yes.
So what?
I believe in a deeply ordered chaos.
And how do you
in
try?
my work.
How, when you're in front of the canvas, how do you try to arrive at that? What do you go through to try to arrive at that?
Well, because the unconscious things that I try to, the images that I try to make, I still, at the same time, want them to look very ordered.
But you don't want to be in control of them.
Well, this is a great problem. In the very first place, when they come up, you're not in control of them. But when the image seems to emerge, then to make it, you have to control it. But in control, you see, this is where with painting, it's so difficult, painting in oils, is you make an image and it's changing all the time. And then it's to do with your own instinct and sensibility, which turns it one way or another. That doesn't mean that I haven't got an overall idea of the type of thing that I would have liked to make, but I don't know how to make it.
Yes. So you come in with an overall image which you don't want to define except through working towards it.
Yeah, no, but that's exactly how it is.
Yes. That's putting yourself at risk all the time, isn't it?
Well, don't you think you have to? At least
Yeah.
as an artist, you always have to. I
Yeah.
mean, if otherwise you turn into an academician.
Are you excited when you're painting, or are you absorbed, or are you depressed, or what? Do you have a particular mood, or does it change a great deal?
Well, of course, it changed like all our moods. It changes, yes. But I have a very sort of optimistic nature, so I always think something's going to turn up, or exciting.
When you're actually following the oil, as you say, you make a brushstroke one way and that takes you one way. Obviously, that's quite dangerous, and it might take you a way that you find you don't like at all. What happens then?
Well, very often that does happen, and just means destroying the canvas.
You actually destroy the canvas?
I do generally, yes. Mm-hmm.
You don't clean it and reuse it or anything?
I don't, because you can't. You see, I work on the opposite side, the unprimed side of the canvas, and that can't be cleaned. It just soaks right into the texture of the canvas.
Yes. Why do you use the, as it were, the wrong side of the canvas?
Well, I was living once down in Monte Carlo, and I'd lost all my money, and I had no canvases left, and so the few I had, I just turned them, and I found that the what's called the wrong side, the unprimed side of the canvas, worked for me very, very much better, and so I've always used it, and it was just by chance that I had no money to buy canvases with.
How does it work better? I mean, what is better about it? Can you tell us?
Yes, it holds. If you make a mark on it, you can rub it out on a prime canvas and take it out. With that, it's there. It's indelibly made.
I believe that sometimes you use a rag a lot on the canvas. You use brushes, scrubbing brushes to scrub on. You actually throw paint sometimes at canvas. Can you talk about the relationship you have with the canvas in that very physical sense? Why is it important to you to sort of battle with it in that way?
Because if you've ever seen somebody painting a wall, or if you ever paint a wall yourself, you will see the first mark that you make, and where the brush makes that mark, it has a vitality. That when you've got the overall thing created, it's lost.
And so you want that first mark, every mark to be that first mark, as it were?
Yes.
What's to be gained by throwing paint literally at a canvas?
Well, that was, I only did in a few paintings. I was sick of the look of them, I just threw a lot of paint on them. And they turned out, well, they turned out, as they did. I quite liked them.
Is there any way that you finish a painting, or do you just leave it?
I know when it's finished. My instinct tells me when it's finished. I can't do any more to it.
Do you work continuously on the one painting or the triptych, or can you work on something, leave it for 6 months or even a year and come back later, or do you clear what you're doing?
No, practically everything I do, I work very quickly, and I work on them. For instance, the triptychs, I can't. As you can see in a room like this, I couldn't work on them all together.
Yeah.
So I just work on them, and they happen to join up.
Yeah.
You see, when I do these paintings, I have had an overall idea of what I want to do, but as I'm always hoping the chance is going to work in my favour, I don't really know. I don't try to read my work. I don't really know what it means. I only know what it means to me formally.
So you're resisting telling a story. I mean, that is not telling a story.
Very, very much so. I don't want to tell a story. I have no story to tell. I like the starkness of the image. I want it to give me a shock. Now, shock, you could say, is a form of expression. But what expression it is, I don't know. It's a visual shock. It's not a shock about... it's not a shock that you could get from a story. It's just a visual shock.
Would you resist the notion of describing that triptych as 3 portraits?
You could call it 3 portraits if you want to, but I don't think of it in that way.
So what is it that you're presenting when you've finished?
Nothing except what people want to read into it. Nothing.